OKKO Anime Club engage! Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of OKKO Anime Club where we are talking about Sword Art Online. And as always I am joined by my dear friends Makashift and Bajarzelly5.
Hi!
And the infamous rare drop, the Peppered Ham, also known as Bill, is joining us this evening.
Hello?
He's being very quiet today.
He's shy.
He's trying to be reserved. Was I supposed to say more like about myself there?
I suppose,
No, it's fine.
You can introduce yourself. We introduce ourselves every
for
episode.
these-
People are bored of us by now.
uneducated scrubs who may not know the might of Bill Conway.
Well, 80 videos and now I don't.
Sometimes does a podcast.
He
Yeah, I just
tweets a lot.
I just show up in people's stuff now. Like that's kind of like I'm like that dude in like Jackass who like is not really in the group but he's always kind of there in the movies.
You are a professional guest.
Yeah, I think the last time he made actual content was when Kotora-san was airing.
Which was about a year ago.
Yeah, so about a week before my last video.
Man, that long ago.
So we're talking about Sword Art Online, and we're going to split it off into halves. We're going to talk about Sword Art Online first, and then we'll talk about Alfheim Online. Alfheim Online.
Flim flam.
So, I'm going to ask Cam to start off with, what did you think to the first half of Sword Art Online?
Wow. Seeing as we're just talking about the first half.
No, wait a minute. What did you think of the first 2 episodes of Sword Art Online?
Oh!
We'll start there.
The first 2 episodes? Hang on. I have literally watched it all in the past few days, so it's kind of all squidged together into a big lump.
The end of the second episode is like Kirito being, I is a beater. Yeah.
Oh, that was cool, man.
I know, right?
That was amazing. Yeah, and it was just like, oh. I thought that like the first half on its own, as its own entity, was quite good, and I really enjoyed it. There was a bit of a lull, and I got a bit bored about 2/3 of the way in, but it picked up again towards the end. And then this other bit happened that I could care less about. More on that later. Yeah, so yeah, the first half was good. That's all I really have to say about it. It was good. It had moments where it was amazing, and it showed a lot of potential. Wasted a couple of like bits of potential, but also made very good use of other things. So that's my thoughts on it.
I'm curious to ask the seasoned MMO player amongst us. There's a reason we got Bill on. It's because he plays every MMO ever.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't make videos anymore.
I play MMOs.
Too busy playing Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft.
You play an MMO? Bill plays every MMO for a while.
I have experience in many MMOs. I've played Warcraft. I've played Final Fantasy. I've played Ragnarok. I played Myth of fucking Soma. That's some 1996 shit.
Oh, let's play this game. My MMO experience is playing WoW until I hit like level 20, and then I was like, you know what? I'm enjoying this too much. I should stop. And I haven't played anything since.
I played Prince of Quinn as well. That's old school.
It's got me beat on that one too.
This not permadeath.
Welcome to permadeath episode.
Yeah, it's been a while. I might as well kill 2 birds. I like the first half. As an MMO player, like I haven't seen like dot hacks, so like as far as like MMO anime where people are in a death game go, like this is my first experience with like any kind of show that nods towards like the no lifers, and I liked it. I liked all the terminology was fun, and the only problem I had with it though was it seemed kind of fast, like pacing wise.
It was
like,
very jumpy.
Yeah, like they're all watching snapshots instead of like a story. But I can understand maybe why they had to do it because they didn't have enough time to cover it because they had to fit in the other
I am
bunch
curious.
of shit.
I'm curious about whether the light novels had so many time skips in them or no, because I haven't read the novels.
No.
So.
Probably is all I can assume, because I mean it's a vast expanse of time, and they got to like floor 77 or something by the end of it,
right.
and it's just like they skipped so many.
They got to floor 70 something. We saw like what 4 of those floors.
Yeah, we saw like 4 boss fights, wherein lies my biggest problem with the first arc, in that it starts incredibly strong. I think the first 2 episodes of Sword Art is what like solidified it back when it was airing, which is what made it such a big deal. Like, I mean, people were hyped for it. before it started airing, just because Sword Art, as a light novel series, was a relatively important IP. But the first 2 episodes, you're just like, yeah, this is brilliant. This is incredible. Like, we've got this protagonist, we don't know anything about him yet. He's done this stuff. He's acting like a badass in episode 2. There's this really cool action scene. The music's good. There's this cool heroine lady who's just been revealed. And then it just kind of shits itself for me a bit, because it just kind of like, instead of being like, okay, we need to do this, we need to get to this, we need to do this, here is our goal, we are working towards it. It's like, here's an episode about this, here's an episode about this, here's an episode where I get some dragon poo and make a sword, here's an episode where I join this random thing. It was just so disconnected. It was so messy and just kind of didn't know what it was doing for a vast majority until Heathcliff is like, fight me, bro.
Oh, that fight was cool.
And then the bits where they're taking like vacations. They're taking vacations in here. I was watching it, and like Asuna and Kirito are like sitting in their cottage, like, oh, let's just take some time off. But like our bodies are in the real world, decaying in our beds. But let's just hang out next to an old man fishing. Like it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I love the idea that in the what was it in the same episode as the game ended, that half of it was a fishing.
Yeah.
Fishing bit.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think it's the episode before the episode the game ends. Well, yeah, they're just fishing.
I don't know why, but like for some reason I remember the fishing episode when I first watched it to have this bit where loads of meat fell from the sky, and they all had meat to give to everyone. And like she'd like cut up the fish in the air and it lies down on a platter, and I was like, that must have happened in something else. And I thought it happened here. So I know
Have you ever watched Toriko? Because that sounds exactly like
that's
that.
Toriko.
It happened in Angel Beats. That's where I got it confused, because there's a bit in Angel Beats with the giant fish that gets cut up in the sky and they all eat fish. Beyond that, though.
Yeah, it did suffer a lot from. I felt like in the first half there were a lot of throwaway characters.
Yeah.
That sort of come back at the end,
Yeah,
but it's
they're
just
like
it's almost
referenced
they come
in the
back at the
last
end, but it's just to go, hey, look, we haven't forgotten about them, promise.
Like, well, some of these episodes, they were like, I guess the big thing was it was kind of showing bits of how overpowered Kirito was, like the episode with the dragon lady, and that bit where he's getting attacked by the bandits, and it's just like, I can heal faster, you can hug me.
That pissed me off though, because they bring in that mechanic where they bring in a thing by saying, right, okay, Kirito has got battle regeneration. That means that if Kirito is in battle, he regenerates X amount of HP per second. And then they never touch upon it again.
Yeah, like,
there's that bit where he's got like a sword through him, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm dying," and his health's like slowly dribbling down like that. But like, okay, I can understand if he's taking too much damage for the regeneration to heal it back. That's fine, but you should at least have a visual representation of it, like the bard doing this, not just.
Yeah, like a buff timer, like in MMOs where you're next to your health. Yeah, like a little
exactly. It's like he makes a point really early on, going, "I have this skill. This is why I'm badass," and then they just forget about it.
I think, like, honestly, the first half isn't actually that bad in terms of like what the fuck is wrong with this. Like bits where I literally go, "That's just stupid." I mean, honestly, when it first started airing, everyone's problem was like, well, what happens to their bodies in the real life? How are they doing? Why aren't they? And it's just kind of later on, they kind of go like, people died, people got moved to hospitals, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, about the hospital thing. Like, I thought if you like log out or you disconnect or if like something turns off, you die.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we moved them all to the hospital.
The nerve gears have internal batteries.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But the thing is, they all kind of logged out and fainted for a while, which is quite weird.
Yeah,
I don't think they explained why that happened. Because it's like...
they just glossed over it.
Sorry.
They were like, remember that time everybody logged out?
I don't think that's really worth worrying about. It sort of makes sense.
There are quite a lot of logistical like holes that it seemed to fall into. I mean, some of them were alright and I could look over, but then there were other... Whoa! Ebby's gone.
What?
We've lost Ebby.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
We've got a panda instead, and there's a problem with this call. Anyways,
shit.
Okay.
Okay, Eb, we can hear Ebby, so we can carry on talking.
Okay.
Can you turn your video back on?
Yeah,
we're good? Yeah,
sorry,
okay,
did I just leave?
You did just disappear for a second.
Never mind.
Everyone was moving apart from Cam, and everyone was going...
So you just disconnected from me. Anyway, yes.
Okay.
Moving on.
What I think would have made the first arc so much better is if they sort of either, like, some of the characters they showed us here and there, like Klein, and like
Oh,
Lisbeth.
Klein was the best character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Klein
liked
was
them. Like
amazing.
Egil was probably like my favorite character in the entire thing. But those characters, I liked that they were there, but I feel like they should have just been integrated throughout the rest of it instead of just being like, here is this person's character. Like this, here is this character's episode rather. But I think the main problem is like they bring in Heathcliff at some point, and they're like, yeah, here's Heathcliff, he's important. And then by the time you like get used to him, it's like, oh yeah, Heathcliff's the baddie now, which was kind of foreshadowing everything. But if they kind of brought Heathcliff in earlier, developed him throughout, because honestly, him and Kaiba in general were actually fairly strong by comparison to the weakness of a lot of the other characters. I just feel like if they brought him in earlier, developed him a bit more, then the actual flow of the first arc would have worked so much better, instead of just like, here's an episode, blah blah blah, okay, here's a boss randomly.
It would give you more of a I think if they kind of developed Heathcliff more as a as like a sympathetic character. Like, I mean, my response to Heathcliff was, this guy, he's the leader of the Knights of the Blood Oath, so he's got a job to do. He's a badass. I like him. He seems like a pretty cool guy, but there was still that kind of disconnect. Yeah. If they made him more of a fleshed out character and then went, oh yeah, by the way, he's responsible for the death of 4,000 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's the reason you're trapped in here.
If they had brought him in earlier, like he was sort of mentioned offhand, if he was made a bigger deal and more of a character, then it just would have made it work so much better for me. And then it's just like, I don't even want to talk about freaking Asuna, Kirito and Pocket Lolly's adventures in the forest. Because that was just like, what is this? Yeah. Like, that was just awful. Like, honestly, I think everything that Yui brought to the series in the first half, and a lot of it was just garbage. Like, she was cute. I get it, she was cute, but it's like, we're in a game, we're married, this is our daughter. It's like, you two.
It's almost if they were writing the light novels and went, oh, Dot Hacker's got something that we don't. It's aura. We should write an aura in.
The reason that is because it was written by a 16-year-old, and that is a 16-year-old's interpretation of romance. But go on, Ellie, what you were saying?
No, I was just gonna say I love the fact that within the space of an episode they'd gotten married and had a child that was about 5 years old. I love the fact that it just went from the way that it happened was so. Right, okay, let me talk about this. I get why they got married so suddenly. Because, you know, sort of like if you marry someone in Skyrim and you ask them, like, you don't know them very well, you ask them to marry you or whatever, or they ask you, you go, yes. And the reason is because life in Skyrim is not very long. Yeah. It makes sense, right? You don't know when you're going to die in Sword Art Online, so you might as well enjoy it. And they'd known each other for like 2 years. But the fact that they went from, oh, we're friends, to we're married and have a child in the space of like an episode break was really strange.
Because Kirito was just like, you made me soy sauce and mayonnaise out of little blue liquids. I think you're amazing. I love you.
I love you. Do you know one random little detail that annoyed me? And this is going to bleed. This is bleeding through a little bit into Alfheim. It's like a really silly random little thing, but it pissed me off. And they made a really big deal after Kirito and Asuna got married of them both wearing wedding rings.
Yeah.
And then they did the whole bullshit thing of, oh, Alfheim is made from the same thing what Sword Art is made from, so you've got all of your shit from Sword Art. Why isn't he wearing a ring?
Don't know, man.
That would have been cool.
Maybe they're not. Maybe they're incompatible with the game.
Well, maybe.
Like how his dual wield thing. So instead, he had just like a question mark.
Yeah, but some of his items still worked. That would have been amazing. So it would have just been a nice detail, I think, to have still had the ring there. I don't know.
What I find stupid.
And then you'd get a brooding scene where he'd look at his finger and remember really quick why he's here.
Why am I doing this?
It is sort of like assumed that Kirito and Asuna did a bit of hanky panky, like in that house.
Oh, cyber! They did some filthy cybering.
Even if hanky panky wasn't programmed into the game, which I don't think it would have been.
No, it definitely would have been. It would have been.
No. But the thing is, like, and obviously he'd be able to see her naked and everything. And this is a really bloody, gory game, and there were shitloads of children in there. How would that game would have had a rating on it that meant children wouldn't have been able to buy it? I know that doesn't stop kids from playing GTA.
I was gonna say, hey man,
there's so many kids there. I don't think there would have been kids en masse able to be in that place.
You'd be
They
surprised,
wouldn't
man.
have been allowed. But how freaking hard would it be to program Hanky Panky into that thing? How would you get the feelings and sensations of Hanky Panky?
Well, that was
into,
oh no,
into this
that's
freaking.
no. Sorry.
It's just.
I was gonna go into Sword Art Online 2 stuff then. I'm not gonna.
Silence. Yeah, I don't know. The nerve gear can like hijack all of your bodily functions and replace them with the in-game stuff. But
again, like we're just assuming
like,
that was it anyway.
Do you think in game they had to do things like use the bathroom?
Maybe. It'd be like those weird dreams you have, where you wake up and then you're just like,
you know
wait,
what was missing from the Elder Scrolls Online? Bathroom breaks.
Yep.
You know when they were saying, oh, if you eat in Sword Art Online, then the nerve gear just makes you think you're not hungry. Maybe it does the same thing. Maybe if you go for a piss in Sword Art Online, the nerve gear makes you think you don't need to go anymore. So the reason why those people died is because their bladders exploded.
Yep.
Like that episode of The Simpsons. Anyone remembers that episode from the early 90s?
I don't remember it.
Where Grandpa needs to go to the bathroom and then his kidneys explode. I don't know.
The one of the bits in the first half that kind of stuck him for a loop was when he finally confronts Kayaba, or they're looking at the cardinal just exploding, and he asks Kayaba like, "Why did you do this?" Because that's what I was really interested in.
Yeah.
The entire first half. It's like, why did he want to kill all these people? And then he's like, I don't even remember anymore. When I was a kid, I wanted a castle. And then,
basically, I was on a beach one day and I made a castle, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be great if I could make one of these online and then kill people in it?
Yeah, like what was the point? Like, I really wish that's such a cop out. Oh, I just forget.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, I don't know.
Like, as much as I hated the second half, at least that creepy.
All I wanted.
At least he had motivation.
All I wanted Kaiba to say was like, because I can. Because that would have been like cool. Because it's like, yeah, I just did it because I can.
Yeah, and then he just floats
because
off.
I have the power.
Later.
We should talk about like the world of Sword Art Online. What was it called? Forgotten already.
Amazing.
Aincrad.
Aincrad.
Aincrad, that's it. You say
Arcade from Melty Blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It was awesome. I really liked that world.
Yeah, I really liked the design of that world.
Yeah.
And if there was ever anything,
pretty much everything, to be honest.
If there was ever anything to like advertise a game to me, if someone went, "Oh, Sword Art Online's a real game," and like showed me that, I'd be like, "I want to play it. I want to play that. That looks awesome."
It did look really cool, and I did like the attention to detail they went to when it's just like, yeah, here's the person's eye view, and it does like weird noise every time. And I was just thinking, can you imagine if that noise was there at all times? You would just go insane.
Oh, yeah. I was actually thinking that. Like every time they would show from like Kirito's view, and that fucking stupid beep was in there, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's just like that would literally just be like being inside a padded room with banana phone playing 24/7 the rest of your life.
There was another thing that I wanted to mention. You know the guy from the Knights of the Blood Oath?
Which guy? The crazy one.
Yeah, who killed.
Alice Potion guy, the fucking
he like paralyzed two guys, killed one of them, was gonna kill Kirito, and then Kirito killed him, and they'd made a really big deal about the fact that everyone gets like a red marker above their head.
Yeah, what the fuck?
No. You only become yellow if you hurt a green player. If you hurt a yellow player, you don't become yellow.
Oh, and he became yellow.
Yeah, because remember the scene where the lady comes with the yellow people, and she was like, you will become yellow if you hit me. It's because she was green, but her people weren't green.
I thought they explained it away by just saying it doesn't last forever, because Kirito says to her, "I can deal with being red for a few days."
Yeah, but you only become red if you attack a green player. If you attack a yellow player, I assume you don't.
I didn't know that because I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I mean, I just made this.
Someone.
I just made the assumption that yeah, I suppose because that would make Asuna would have become an orange player for attacking him, and then Kirito would have become a red player for killing him.
Yeah, they make it quite clear that as soon as he attacks Kirito, he becomes yellow. So,
the thing about that whole thing was I kind of would have liked to have seen Kirito be at least a little bit morally not okay with the fact that he just killed someone.
Yeah,
he just didn't give a shit.
Like I have just fried this guy's brain.
Kirito's a freaking proper doing people in guy though.
This is the kind of guy who gets involved in knife fights outside hospitals.
I know, right? He's like, yeah, I'll totally slit your throat by a car, totally smash your face into the door.
all I'm gonna say, jumping forward a bit.
This guy's knifed 2 hands with my one arm, which I clearly couldn't use because it had like half of it cut off.
That fight was fucking amazing. Jumping ahead a bit, but yeah, I loved it.
Let's get to that later.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about now is the big fight with Kayaba at the end, because what I found was
back fucking dead.
Heathcliff.
Yeah, with Heathcliff. It's just like what I found dumb about that fight is that Kirito was able to break the system with human emotions.
With his eyes. His eyes went yellow.
I was like, okay, what I'm assuming here, the way that it logically happened in my head is that because there's no way human emotions can affect a computer system, it just doesn't happen. But the way that I assumed it happened was because Kayaba was like he was batshit crazy, but he was like righteous, and he wanted this big grand finish, and he was like honorable about it. So I thought he would like manipulate it so that Kirito would be able to get up just to make this like grand show or whatever, to appeal to what he wanted the ending of his game to be like. But then at the end, he was just like, hell, dude, you just freaking did that on your own.
You broke the system.
I'm kind of pissed off that he didn't just go, I'll be waiting for you on floor 100 and like float away or something like that.
Like
that
every
the troll face.
Yeah.
Because then they could have just been like, oh, we have this idea of who this guy is, now we can come up with tactics and be smart about this and like go about it in a proper way. And I feel like that would have been way more beneficial than them just going, oh, I'm the final boss, let's have a fight now.
That would have meant that they'd have needed to have more of the series to do that in. But no, they decided to do something else.
That's another problem with the first arc, honestly. It was so freaking anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like, it was building up and it got to that fight, and that fight was really cool with the weird, horrible CGI skeleton thing. And then it was just like, way, it's over now. It's like, what? Oh, okay.
Did anyone else notice that in that fight with the CGI skeleton thing, that it was like really, 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 really hard, and then all of a sudden it just stopped moving and let everyone kill it?
That's
how bosses work,
don't
right?
underestimate the power of the montage.
Yeah, but he was just sitting there. He literally was just sitting there. Everyone was underneath him, just going, dead.
They would have been, if that lasted for longer than 5 minutes, everyone would have been so exhausted.
Oh yeah, maybe the boss was exhausted. Maybe he was just tired.
Yeah, maybe the boss was tired. So
they spent like
and then they killed it. He was asleep, and they killed him.
Chipping away it, and then it was like, oh, we haven't done any damage. And then another minute later, and some still frames panning across. And oh, look, he's got barely any health left.
Dead.
Oh, nice. And then Kirito's like, oh, look, he's standing there and he's not in yellow health. I think I'm going to stab him. Or I stabbed him. Oh, look, he's immortal. Oh, shit, he's like Yui.
Did anyone...
I'll tell you what.
Oh, go on.
The first... When they had that whole fight with Heathcliff and, like, Sword Art Online just ended, I was gobsmacked when that happened the first time I watched it. I was like, what? That's the point. What's the point in this anyway? There's no point.
Because I didn't know that there was going to be a second arc. I assumed the entire thing was going to be Sword Art when I first watched it.
I was pretty excited.
It's because
like curveball. Like, whoa.
It's because when it happens and it's all over, you think, well, what the fuck are they going to do now? There's half a season to go.
And it was like, oh, 300 players and Asuna are still gone.
And there's the thing that, like, Asuna and Kirito died, but they didn't. And I guess that's just like...
I don't get why Asuna... Right, I kind of get why Kirito didn't die. I don't get why Asuna didn't die.
I think Kaiba was just like...
She's gone.
Kaiba was just like, you know what, Kirito? I'll save you, lady. Because there's like... There's a little bit of time between... dying in game and dying in reality.
This reminds me of actually, yes, because do you remember the episode where Kirito gets the revival item from Nicholas the Renegade, evil Santa, and they make a big deal of him getting this item and giving it to Klein, saying,
they didn't make a big deal of it because they didn't show the fight. It was here's a big Santa, always dead.
No, you don't understand. It's the rule of Chekhov's gun. That was an item that effectively breaks the rules of the game. You've got an hour where you can revive someone, and he gave it to Klein, and they never fucking used it. Why didn't they have a moment where, like, why Heathcliff could have just killed him, and then Klein goes, "Oh yeah, I still got this thing that you gave to me. You're not dead anymore, son." And then carried on. Or why didn't Kirito use it to revive Asuna? It's it was.
Weren't they all paralyzed on the ground?
Yeah,
but Asuna broke it.
Yes, she did with her heart.
Oh shit.
Asuna was able to break the paralysis. Oh.
I don't get that. Like, so many times I've just gone, "Oh, my emotions for this person are so strong, so therefore the rules of this game just don't matter."
That's just like anime in general.
Yeah, that is
like,
anime shown just general this demographics fiction logic. But the reason why
I don't agree with it.
No, the thing is, it doesn't work in this setting at all. Just because this is inside a computer, and I can't be like, I really, really, really want my computer's CD drive to open right now with my heart, and it won't. Because that's just not going to happen.
Neo. The thing that got me as well is the fact that when Kirito does break the system with his mind, his eyes turn yellow, and they made like a big deal of being like, "Oh, his eyes are yellow," so obviously something's going down. And then for the rest of the show, they go yellow if he's mildly peeved. Oh, I've left my tea's over brewed. Yellow eyes.
But it didn't show you. It's in that scene where he drops his sandwich and it just incinerates it.
Yellow code breaking eyes, and it just reconstitutes inside his mouth.
Fucking Sani. My waifu made that for me.
There was another thing that I wanted to bring up as well, but I've completely forgotten. Oh yeah, his first guild, like.
Oh, the Moonlight Black Cats.
Oh yeah.
I don't know whether that was.
I liked that episode actually.
I liked that episode, but it was like, oh, look at all these characters I don't care about die.
Yeah.
This was the big
They
problem.
tried to make you feel feels. They tried to make you feel feels by listening to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And,
it was rushed feels. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah,
it was please care about this character. Look at this person. She's cute. Care about her. Now she's dead.
I'm gonna sing. I'm not gonna sing. I'm
gonna hum.
Really quiet.
She could have said anything in that last message. She's saying Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Therefore, she was the best character in all of Sword Art Online.
I would have liked for her to have just transformed into Cliff Richard and done.
Mistletoe and Wine.
Yeah.
I wanted her to do Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel.
I wanted her to play an AC/DC solo on the bagpipes that spit fire out of them.
And all of this gets thrown into a mashup and it plays during the final fight.
Yeah, man.
Heathcliff.
Right.
Awesome. Can you imagine that?
The problem is with Sword Art Online, it did kill off a lot of characters, but none of them I cared about. So I was like,
That's
that could be said of any character that isn't like Klein or Egil, maybe.
Yeah.
If either of those two died, I probably would have been mildly ticked off. Anyone else, you could have killed them off, and I would have been like, cool, they can be replaced with someone better now.
The thing is, Klein, like instilled himself as awesome from moment one. He didn't need to be in that often because every time he turned up, he was just awesome.
Well, I think the thing about Klein is he is in the very convenient place in fiction, in that he doesn't stick around long enough to be shit.
Yeah.
He's like, Klein is a very one-dimensional character because he's just there, has his character, and is likable.
no, man.
Hey man,
he is every gamer embodied because he's like, oh, gonna log out, gonna get my pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kirito had to save Asuna and beat Sword Art Online and save the world. Klein just wanted a pizza.
Yeah, he did.
And that's something that I can agree with.
Pizza at the end. Like...
He probably did, but it was all rotten and stuff.
No. He did get that pizza in the party at the end. They were eating pizza.
Oh, did he have pizza? Aww.
And he was like, "I'm clearly old enough to drink, yet I want to hit on these 15-year-olds."
What else was there that I was going to say about Klein?
He had red hair and he was cool.
No, he was voiced by the guy who voiced Muta in Space Brothers, so I just loved him.
I'm gonna like, as we're talking about voice actors.
Wasn't the main bad guy at the end Dio?
It was me.
No. Like, it wasn't he voiced by Dio? I feel like he was voiced by Dio. I'm gonna check. He sounded a little bit like Dio. Yeah.
Dio Brando.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna check. I feel like he was voiced by Dio. It sounded like it at some points, unless he was just emulating it.
You thought it was me, but actually it was me, Heathcliff.
It was me, Kayaba.
All I'm gonna say is. The one thing about Asuna that I do like is she was voiced by Tomatsu Haruka, and she gets props for being the voice of Candelera from Kyoryuger. Oh look, there she is. Way! I love admin powers.
I need to watch the stream now to see that.
Yeah, man. I just showed a picture of Candelera from Kyoryuger. She did some other voices too, but that's the only one I care about.
Like talking about the characters really briefly from this half. I hate using the term Mary Stu.
Yeah, he's Dio.
Wicked.
Mary Sue or Gary Stu, but it was like the couple were just the most generic. I am the world. I'm going to lead the world to great things. People, and it was really boring.
Oh yeah, we're going to get to that now.
And that's,
how Kirito and Asuna are quite possibly the two worst characters in fiction.
And that's the Achilles heel of the entire second half of the story as well, or one of the many Achilles heels.
Well, this is the entire show in general. Like Kirito is so boring.
No, but that's what annoys me. He wasn't boring in the first 2 episodes. He did that thing where he's like, "I'm Kirito, I'm a beta.
That's honestly
fuck
my
you."
biggest problem with Asuna is in like the second episode where Asuna's revealed and she's like all mysterious and she's like this badass and she's cool. And it's like, oh, she seems quite interesting. And then she's like, I am a generic tsundere now, and now I am your waifu, and now I'm stuck in a cage, and now I'm your girlfriend in school.
Yeah.
The thing is, she was kind of cool because she was. For a bit at least, she was a relatively independent character. She didn't really need Kirito, and then she got married, and it was like all of her life was suddenly about Kirito. And then she got damseled in the second half, and I was just like, well,
She was just awful.
They kept trying. They kept trying to give her the kind of, oh no, we want Asuna to be independent, so we're going to give her these moments where she tries to do something. But then they fucked it up by taking that away from her.
What were you going to say, Bill?
I never really cared for either of them because of the freaking pacing. Like, there's Asuna, they fight this boss, then you don't see her for a little bit, but there's like a big time skip kind of, and then she shows up again as like in Knights of the Blood Oath, and then I'm like, okay, I don't really care about Asuna. Like whatever, you know, like she's not really that. I never really got attached to her to where the romance actually was worth a damn for me, because considering the romance was the only thing driving the plot forward at a certain point. I couldn't care for it. The first point you see Asuna after episode 2, it's like you see her in some room whilst they're preparing for a boss fight, I think, and she's like, "I am Commander lol," and it's like, oh, there she is. There's that character that's important.
Yeah.
It's like, I went and joined a strong guild like you asked me to. Are you proud of me? Oh, thanks.
That's great.
I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with the show in general, though, in that it doesn't know what it wants to be, because the romance is just so generic and cookie cut. And the show doesn't balance well where it wants its focus to lie. Because it's like, it could be this kind of tragedy. It could be, the best things about it is that like it goes into like, it feels like there's kind of an adventure going on at various points, which is actually one of the things I like about the second half.
Yes.
Over the first half. Do you want to move into the second half? Is there any much you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just gonna say one point. A tragedy is when you go to make a cup of tea, but you don't, but you forget to boil the kettle, so you just pour cold water on a tea bag. It's a tragedy.
Or when you're some cockhead who puts the milk in first.
Don't call my mom a cockhead.
I hate those people. But I like your mum. Your mum's
my mum's a badass. She'd kick your ass in Sword Art Online. Well, let's move on to the second half, because once we've talked about the second half, we can talk about the thing as a whole.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of things that I want to say, but I have to kind of talk about both in order to have them make sense.
Let's ask Bill's opinion.
Any closing thoughts on the first half then from anyone?
I'm done with Sword Art.
Anyone have anything else?
It was good, not great. I liked it.
My closing thoughts on the first half is that it had the potential to be good, but it was too disjointed to actually be good. It could have been good. It really, really could have been good. It just wasn't.
Yeah. The first episode I still think is amazing. Like,
yeah, I still think the first 2 episodes of this show are really strong. If it stayed that way throughout, it would be fully deserved of the popularity that surrounds it.
It had, to me, I feel like it had all of the pieces. Everything was there. They were just in the wrong order. You know, it was like, we've got action, we've got romance, we've got like drama, we've got all this stuff. But instead of like chopping it up and mixing it like a good salad, you just had eat a cabbage, eat a carrot, and there's a fucking sprout at the end.
Wait.
Yep.
Best analogy ever. Salad Art Online. Hashtag Salad Art Online.
I don't think I have much to say about Sword Art Online. I really loved the first episode, and then it just slowly lost interest in it, which was really sad because I was really looking forward to it at the time it was airing. So,
what about you, Bill?
About what, the first half?
It was the first half.
The first half? Yeah. Despite its problems, I actually had fun watching it. The first half. I liked it.
If
like I said, my biggest problems were the pacing. It just it fucked a lot of
definitely.
characterization up. It didn't give you enough time.
If the show had ended at episode 14 when Sword Art ended, I would have been satisfied. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of would like that whole ambiguous kind of he's walking away as a frail man kind of ending. Like, we'd still have some unanswered questions, but it would
the closure. You'd have the closure. Yeah.
Oh, that freaking credit sequence at the end of the episode is hilarious.
It was so long.
It reminds me of the end. How long is that hallway? It reminds me of the end credits of Rambo 4. At the end of Rambo 4, he just walks down this road, and that's the credits, and he's just walking for like 18 minutes whilst the credits.
I was wondering if he was going to wake up, get out of his hospital bed, and he was just going to walk out into The Walking Dead, because that sequence is just the first episode of The Walking Dead.
No, he wasn't.
That's where Rick Grimes was. He was playing Sword Art Online, and then he woke up in a zombie apocalypse.
Where were all like the nurses and shit in the
hospital? I know that hospital was empty.
It was so desolate.
Like,
like what the fuck was that?
Dead.
Also, he had Emily brought this up when it happened, but he's been in a bed for 2 years.
And
I was ill with the flu for 2 weeks, and I couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, can I also just say?
No. Cam, it was his love for Asuna and his need to find Asuna.
The funny thing is, when Kirito wakes up, he looks proper haggard. He's like to
like
the bones. His face is nasty, like he's got no meat on him whatsoever. Asuna looks like she's been having a pristine workout routine every day whilst in a coma.
She was in a better hospital anyway, so that could be part of it.
To describe Kirito when he got up, he was metal. When Kirito woke up, he was metal. That's what he had the long hair and the haggard face, and all he needed was some stubble.
His hair grew into the hat. It was just he didn't grow out there; it just grew into the hat. And by the time he got out, he was a bit older. He should have had a bit of stubble. I reckon.
No, all he needed was a beanie and a lip ring, and he would have been great.
That was such a shock to the system, though. You're in there for 2 years. Like he comes in as like a preteen. He comes out a little bit older. He's like, shit, man, I got pubes now.
What happened?
Okay, let's move on to
with the bombshell of pubes. Let's move into ALO.
Alfheim Online. I would like to ask Bill his opinion first, because I think he's got stuff to say.
The whole time, like the pre-second arc, like as I'm watching the first arc, like it's in my head. Like at this point, I'm late on the show. You know, like everybody's seen it already. I've read everybody's complaints. Pacing, second arc sucks. This and that. So I'm like, okay, this is like a Death Note situation where everybody hates the second half, but I like the second half of Death Note. So I'm like, well, I like this second arc, like because I heard the word rapey at one point describing the second arc.
Oh yeah.
That fucking episode.
So I go into it and then I'm like, okay, they're in the real world here, you know. Asuna's in the bed, and then he starts talking to I forget his name, the fairy boy, fairy king. What the fuck was his real name?
Oberon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna just call him Oberon if he's an ass. And I'm like, okay, can I tell someone about this guy? Like, first of all, like he's licking her face and like, and instead of like going like, hey, dude, this guy's a fucking creep to anybody and like anybody else, like the cops.
If he just like went like this, like the guy's obviously not looking at Kirito, he just goes.
Yeah. Film him
records him for a little bit and then just goes, oh, Asuna's dad. Have you seen what that
forward
doing
to
to your daughter?
They have the technology to eat hamburgers in virtual space, but he can't film him fucking rubbing up on a comatose girl's lips.
I wonder if in the space between like Sword Art Online starting and them getting out, he just had like a Nokia 3310 or something and just didn't bother upgrading.
Can you imagine that though? That scene would have gone completely different if he started doing that on Asuna in the hospital bed and Kirito just started stumbling for his phone and the guy just like, what are you doing? Get that camera out of my face. You're just like, nah, man.
They're just like, what are you doing? It's like, I got a text. Carry on. I got 20% off Domino's.
That's the only text I ever get.
Yeah, right.
I felt the second arc was kind of forced. I didn't the whole like, oh, Asuna's still trapped in a game, you have to go back in. First of all, I would not put a fucking nerve gear back on my head.
Yeah.
And second, there's like a bunch of people voluntarily playing Alfheim online, like people who weren't like forced into it with Oberon's stupid, I'm gonna steal your brain and stick it in my game or something, and people are willingly putting back on this helmet. Like, how long was the time?
I don't think it was like the same people necessarily going back and playing it,
still,
and they had different headsets.
Yeah. Even so, like it would still have a.
Yeah. All you gotta do is read the paper and be like, oh shit, all these people died using this helmet playing this game. I'm gonna go play a game like that.
It's like the backlash of the 3DS. If you play a 3DS, your child will go blind. If your child is within 3 miles of a 3DS, their ears will explode.
Okay, that is scaremongering, but there was definitely an MMO about at that time that killed 4,000 people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely a concern.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too long after, you know, like what was the time frame between everybody playing Alfheim online and like everybody dying in Sword Art Online?
It must have been a reasonable amount of time because Kirito had enough time to like completely rehabilitate.
He did. I think it was a few months.
It was 2 months from when he got out of Sword Art Online to when he knew that Asuna was in the game, and then instantly went and.
Wait, so that means that Alfheim Online was going on at the same time that people were stuck in Sword Art.
It started. It had been going when he went into it. It had been going for a year, so it started a year after Sword Art.
Yeah. So.
And people bought the fucking game and played it.
I'm gonna play this.
Maybe they wanted to get stuck in that one too. Maybe they fuck this.
You remember that game that killed 4,000 people? This is just like that.
Yeah,
but
it'd be like, do you remember that game that's still killing people now?
You know that game that your best friend is stuck in right now? This one's got wings.
Play it, man.
Yeah. Can I just
wait a minute. Thinking about the time frame. Think about what's her name?
Sugu.
Yeah, Sugu. She started playing Alfheim Online. Yeah, she started playing Alfheim Online when he was in there.
Yeah, that's like having your brother in rehab, but then you're like doing drugs too, like in your house. Like, oh, watch me do it too. Oh, he's stuck.
Wait, so that means because like Alfheim Online was based off of all the same stuff, but I thought the whole thing was like it shut down, so they went, yeah, let's make this out of it now. But no, it's literally just two things that are the same running at the same time.
No.
Someone said in chat, says Bill, who bought Elder Scrolls Online after seeing how bad the beta was.
No.
To be fair to my heart,
the Elder Scrolls Online beta didn't kill 4,000 people.
It killed my wallet, but I had fun the last beta test, and I thought maybe I'd get some mileage out of this, despite how crappy it kind of was. But I take full responsibility for the decision, so it's a bad one.
Can I get my one good thing about the second half out of the way before we just roast it more?
Go on.
The one thing that I think the second half has over the first half, in that whilst what is happening is pretty bad, it's at least happening consistently.
It's got a proper arc to it.
There are two things happening in the second arc. That is, Kirito wants Asuna, and Suguha wants to rail her brother. And those two are kind of intertwined into this arc that's actually relatively focused and is looking for something. The whole Leafer thing on the side is actually sort of relevant to the main thing, and it's actually going there. That is the one good thing I'll say about the second arc, is that it actually knows what it's aiming to do and where it's going. And it is like, the space of time is like a week.
Yeah,
because
it's less than a week, so it goes from like, Sword Art Online has 14 episodes and it takes 2 fucking years for that to play out. And then with the next one, episode 15, they weren't even in the game. So in the next 9 episodes, they finished that. They did everything they needed to, and it was a week, and it was good.
Yeah, and it worked that way because it wasn't all over the place.
Yeah, it felt like a proper adventure. Like it felt like a fantasy, an actual fantasy thing.
That's where the adventure comes into it. Like they had a goal, they were going somewhere, and that's where I can quite enjoy the second half by just kind of suspending disbelief completely. Because the biggest complaint everyone has about the second half is you remove the urgency of people dying, and yet everyone's acting as though that is still a thing. So the biggest
death penalty.
It's the politics, the bit where freaking the green-haired guy who follows Suguha around that acts like Nitari from Free.
The thing is,
Oh,
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know how respawning works in that game. Like, do they respawn in their own territory, or?
Yeah, if you die, if you die and you don't get revived after the respawn timer runs out, you revive in your home place.
Yeah, because there was a point where like they were talking and like I forget if it was Leafa. She was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to respawn back in one of those things that started with an S." There was like 4 different races.
Alfheim.
Yeah,
I suppose it would be a bigger deal for Kirito because obviously if he died, he would respawn back in the Spriggan land, which is on the other side of the world,
and he doesn't know where it is.
Yeah,
Guys, I need to get a drink, so can I like step away for a sec?
Okay, that was the one thing that did get me about the start of Alfheim was when Kirito created his character and he was landing in the Spriggan land, and then apparently. The creators just went, you can't be here. We need him to be over there. How can we get him over there? Big Cloud. Big Cloud, put him over there.
With the suspension of disbelief thing, I can explain that to myself with the fact that Kirito had all this fucking weird items on him. And everything, and all that bullshit. So, because he had all of his old game data, the game was like, what is all this? It's like when you try and like trade a Pokemon from Gen 2 to Gen 1 that's got a different move, and it's
so it just
like,
dumps him in a random place.
Yeah,
I
so
suppose
like,
that
the
does
game
make
got
sense.
confused. I can get, and he also had Pocket Lolly with him.
Yeah.
So that could kind of, I can sort of explain the fact that he would fall into that place. It's not good logic. There's no reason why it should have happened, but it needed to happen, and I can be like, it's suspension of disbelief. It needed to happen.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna. In fact, I've come up with quite a rational explanation in my head. The game got confused because Kirito and Leafa had the same IP address.
There you go.
So it just dumped, and it didn't know where to put Kirito because he's got all this weird stuff on him. So it just dumped him there.
What I do want to know is though, would Kirito have would every person from Sword Art Online, the original, come in like that?
I had this conversation with these two bozos behind me, and no, because your character data is stored on your nerve gear. So you would have to put on the nerve gear that you use to play Sword Art and give your character the same name. That was the only reason it worked for Kirito.
But surely that means other people would have done that too. Maybe they did.
It depends. It depends on maybe they did, or maybe everyone who came out of Sword Art went, "Oh fuck that." But I think that's why they also brought
that's why, like at the end, everyone had their old characters.
Yeah, and they had that's because they linked everything back in. So everyone got all their old avatars back, but they also brought out the new thing of they had the new equipment as well. So it could be that a lot of people kind of took off the nerve gear and went, "Oh, this new equipment is much safer, so I'll use that to play the game." So
speaking back on Kirito's like character creation and his like introduction to Alfheim, when he was making his guy and the girl was like, "Oh, we're not gonna randomize your appearance. Get ready," and it looked just fucking like him still.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna look a little different. It just looks like Elf Kirito. Like there was nothing different. Really
he's got a bigger fringe,
I think
and
he was just randomizing his clothes.
I'd like to say, I am usually so on board with things that have elves in them. I always play as an elf in any game I get the opportunity to play as an elf in. Yeah. But I thought the elves looked fucking horrible in Alfheim Online.
Is like every race.
By comparison, everyone in ALO looked awful.
Well, the thing is, the thing that was like defining about
they're fairies. They're fairies. They're Tinkerbell people.
I'm gonna punch you next time I see you. But what was the thing that was different between the races wasn't like a defining feature. Like the Khajiit are obviously really different to Argonians.
Well, the only defining feature was one was fat, and that was it.
And
they had different coloured wings.
They're different coloured wings and different abilities.
Yeah.
And
except they had different abilities. They had different abilities, except they all had the same abilities.
They had,
no man, Kirito could do illusions, which actually ended up not being an illusion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but Kirito could do illusions, but so could Leafa. She made that wall.
Oh yeah, that's pretty illusionary.
That was an illusionary wall that she just made to hide them.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a real wall. That was real.
Going into this, actually, one thing that I have been wanting to say about like both halves. One reason why I like the first half over the second half is because all through the first half, you are constantly reminded, just because of the way the world works, that they're still playing an MMO. Like when Kirito when he gets really angry and hits the wall, a little message pops up saying you can't hurt this wall.
Yeah.
And there's all this little random stuff, like you get, like, you see the health bars, you see, like, things that happen that are more gamey. In Alfheim, that doesn't happen anywhere near as much until the very end.
When it should be more gamey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially because of the way it looks. When I was watching the second half, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, now I'm basically watching... now I'm basically watching, like, a generic fantasy anime.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Sacred Blacksmith or something. Like, it looked like Sacred Blacksmith people, which anime sucks. So, well, it sucked too. But, they looked like that, and I'm like, okay, I thought, like, being an MMO player, like, the first half, like, there were so many little nods to, like, MMOs. And
that's one thing that gave that half its strength as well, because it does, like, I felt that the world within the world was very solid.
Yeah,
like, it always had that barrier of, this is a game, whereas Alfheim didn't really have that as much. Like I say, it did have it, but it didn't really come in properly until the end.
The biggest problem with Alfheim is, as you say, it didn't feel like a game. It felt like they thought it was real.
Yeah.
Like the politics stuff and how freaking bent out of shape people were getting. It's just like, okay, you are acting as if this is the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know people get really into video games, but not to that extent.
There's like, yeah, they do.
There's World of Warcraft, like, there's some fucking guild politics that go on in that game. Like, people take it real seriously. Like, they have, like, councils set up and, like, people who handle, like, member issues and things like that. Well, I haven't, like, been in any of those guilds, but, like, back in, like, vanilla World of Warcraft, like 8-9 years ago, like, people were
Okay.
But, like,
do they go to meetings to sign treaties, and then another guild will show up to kill them all?
Funnily enough, I was in a guild called Clan Moore. If anyone from Clan Moore is for some reason watching this, fuck you. And they had these, like, every Sunday afternoon. In order to join this guild, I had to go to an initiation meeting. They were really, like, heavy into RP, but, like, I wanted to get into them so I could do these raids or whatever. And they were the easiest one to get into because they didn't have a lot of gear requirements. And they would set up meetings, and they would sit in a circle. And the only way to advance through the guild was to, like stand up in front of everybody as if it was some kind of, like, public speaking feat or something. You have to stand in front of everybody and, like, type in, like, because in the day with voice chat, they still use text, but you type in, like, you have to, like, give a commendation to someone, like, oh, Leaf fucker was a really good guy in this dungeon or something. And it was really fucking weird.
It sounds like somebody spent a bit too long working in a big corporation and just transposed that into guild.
It's like Target. Yeah, you gotta get in a circle and pat each other on the back.
Yeah, you met your target. Yeah, you met your monster kill quota. Well done. You get a raise.
So therefore, the second half of this series is completely accurate. 10 out of 10. Good job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I talk about the stupidest thing, honestly, about the second half?
Go on.
Can I talk about mine first? Because I think you might steal it, and you've stolen, like, all my points.
Okay, I'm assuming it's the same, because if I know you, then we'll probably agree on what the most stupid thing is.
How the fuck did Sugu not realise that was Kirito?
Yep.
Yeah.
There is
he asleep?
It looks like him.
No reason,
same voice.
No possible way. He had the exact same voice, he had the exact same face. His name was the first half of his surname with the second half of his first name put together.
And wasn't it kind of, well, I think they might have said it wasn't public knowledge. Yeah,
because Kirito was famous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
he was famous.
And like his sister or cousin, whatever the hell she was, has
Would he not come out of the game and just, like, tell his family, yeah, I saved the universe? Because obviously people knew about it.
I faced an evil scientist.
There is no way, in any way, I can't even suspend my disbelief in this situation, to think that she wouldn't have been able to know it was him. It is literally
I
as
honestly
if...
I thought she knew because when they first met, they went to a tavern and they had a meal, and then he said, I'm going to the World Tree, there's someone I need to see there, and she acted really fucking weird about it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be... Well, I think she acted weird because, like, she had a crush on this stranger.
I love the fact that she was in love with her fucking brother. Then went, no, I'm gonna project my feelings onto this Kirito guy, who was her brother.
My brother.
She got double cock blocked.
It's okay though. He's her cousin.
I just coined it all down to one simple point. Suguha was fucking stupid.
Yeah, she was.
But that just made me feel sorry for her. I was just like, Sugu, you poor stupid idiot.
She did have the patience of a saint, though. I'll give her that.
Bless her.
Because she was able to put up with that fucking recon guy. I would have just been like, fuck off, dude.
I'm assuming that Kirito had never been into her room either, because she had a massive
poster on her ceiling of Leaf.
Where did she get that poster?
She must have taken a screenshot. Just taken a screenshot and then printed it off. Used the dad's laminator.
Yeah, that whole relationship. Okay.
That was a bit weird.
It is about anime and incest, but like I don't fucking dig it. So like that whole thing bugged the shit, because the whole second half was just them farting around in a forest, and then his sister lusting after him like a mad fucker, and God, I hated that whole thing.
We've had this conversation before where I think this bothers me and Bill a little bit more than it bothers everybody else, because he has a little sister and I am a little sister. So it is really, really weird. But I don't understand why that was even...
It's fine. They're cousins.
They're not actually...
They can pork all they want.
Is that
They're cousins.
In Japan it is, yeah.
Like, literally cousins. It's the blood is so... not... Like... nothing bad would happen, so it's legal, and it's not even frowned upon in Japan to pork your cousins.
Somebody in the chat says that they don't think they were actually blood related, but I'm pretty sure they were when they're doing the flashback to the mother and Sugu sitting watching his rotting corpse play Sword Art Online in the hospital room. She says to him or whatever, or says to her, like, oh, I blurted out that one day, oh, he's not actually a member of this family as a kid or whatever, but he's the son of my sister and her husband or something. So I think he was still blood related.
Not as blood related.
Yeah.
I'm curious if she suddenly went, oh, we're cousins, so now I can lust after you, or if she just always did it even when they were siblings technically. Like, I don't really understand. I don't understand that whole relationship, because, to be honest, he'd been gone for 2 years. There's no way that you would go, oh, suddenly you're back, and I know you're not my brother, and I love you.
I'd say honestly, she has really, really big boobies. So whilst he was in a coma, she could have easily gone off and had her pick of any guy ever.
But she went for Kirito because he needs a harem.
Yep.
He really did just get. He was just a magnet, a woman magnet. Everyone was after him.
Where where he gave all the money to 2 people, and they're like, oh, you should come. And there were like 3 girls fighting over this guy because.
The creepy thing about that part is that in Sword Art Online they were all mirrored after their real life people, but in Alfheim you get to pick and create your guys. So those might have been dudes and stuff, like playing us as females, because like in Alfheim they didn't force you to be your real life self. You got to pick.
I did love that moment in Sword Art where they go, and now we're going to change all your avatars to look exactly like you, and all these like little girls turned out to be like,
like a really fat guy wearing a dress. That was hilarious.
So yeah, that's a good point. That's quite funny.
So I'm gonna move on to one of the biggest issues that I have with the Alfheim half of it, and that's just how do I explain it? So the villain of Alfheim Online. So
shit.
Oberon. It's just right.
It was awful.
The thing is though, they make a really, really big deal out of saying this guy is fucking awful. He is the scum of the earth. Look at him. He's licking Asuna's face. He's gonna suddenly Kirito stumbled into the final scene of Berserk. Where he's impaled and he's like ripping all her clothes off. This is a horrible, horrible man. He's made mind slaves. He's evil and he needs to die. And it's okay that Kirito stabbed him in the face. And then they turn around to what's his name? I only know him as Heathcliff.
Kayaba.
They kind of portray him as this mysterious. This guy is like, he's the villain, but he's got, you don't know what his motives are, and he's a mysterious and crazy, and exactly. They portray him as really, really cool, and it almost gives the impression of, they go, this guy killed 4,000 people, but at least he's not a rapist.
Yeah, they almost kind of like painted him as like a Kayaba as like a good guy at one point. I was watching it and I'm like, what?
He is like towards the end. You are meant to like Kayaba.
Yeah, and it's like
and
he is responsible. He is first-handedly responsible for the deaths of 4,000 people, and he's cool.
But
Even I think he's cool.
Tats.
Yeah, exactly.
For a
It's like you stay away from Asuna. That's what elevates you to Hitler territory.
Yep.
When they were talking to like the vision of Kayaba, or Kirito was like talking to the vision of Kayaba towards the end, I thought finally we were gonna get to hear like why he did it, but no, it was just more like
I'm gonna give you an egg. Yeah, I have an egg.
I'm still floating around.
You know what I didn't like how what they did at the end was they were like, oh yeah, he killed himself by the way.
Oh yeah.
And then he had a 1 in 1,000 chance to put himself on a floppy disk.
And then he did it. He did it.
Kayaba Akihiko.
I was kind of hoping
he's
that
probably going to be in Sword Art Online season 2 somewhere. He'll just
I was kind of hoping.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I was kind of as like a tiny like little girl. It'd be hilarious.
He's just going to be
talking about.
Be
oh my god, it's Yui. Yui is Kayaba.
Yui's got the same hair and eye color.
I wouldn't doubt that to be a show at this point.
What I was gonna say is I've forgotten my chain of thought. Hang on, can I get it back? What were we talking about?
Emily to shut up.
That's what distracted me.
We were talking about the bad
Kayaba.
guy.
Bad guy. No,
the
it's gone.
bad guy
It's gone.
Well, I'll go with my bit then.
Oh, I just remembered now. The last episode, that knife fight was pro. Going back to what I said like an hour ago, that knife fight was amazing.
It was pretty cool.
Because I think it's just because it came out of nowhere. Like I was expecting him to do something, but not that, and it was awesome.
I like the fact that in the last like boss fight where Kirito stabs him in the face, he's just like ID Hisukis and just like breaks the game.
It was amazing.
This just goes. That's Kirito. Though
He's
just so flipping OP in everything he does.
This does bring me on to one big plot hole that I have about the sister thing though. Oh,
have Excalibur. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Yeah.
I suppose you could make the point of saying that Oberon was like really cocky and stuff. But when he was about to lose, before he could do the ID Heathcliff thing, why didn't he just go ban Kirito?
Yeah, he has the fucking admin powers.
Yeah, just ban him.
Because that
Solves all your problems. Why didn't he just do that in the first place? If he was so dead set on marrying Asuna and getting his bloody rocks off on her, why not just ban Kirito?
I'm sure he's fully aware that a user called Kirito has just signed in with
exactly. I know he had this big power game thing, but surely he had priorities. As soon as he realised, the moment that he saw Kirito stand up through his sword, like proper Devil May Cry 1 style. Yeah. Surely the moment he saw that, he should have gone, you know what, I'm just going to kick you out of the game. Just get out, get out. I'll respawn you back where you need to go. Just die. Just delete your character. Fuck off. But no, he obviously wasn't that forward thinking.
I liked how after he was in the real world and he had all his like eye veins and it was like, oh, he was in pain. Oh,
yeah, he got stabbed in the face, man.
I also don't like how the reason Kirito is still alive is because Kayaba's depth perception was off.
Oh, yeah.
That's just like the entire reason that this series is able to continue. Because Kayaba had shit depth perception.
My eye went fuzzy, so I stabbed the snow.
Do you mean
Not Kayaba. Yeah, I mean Oberon, Broberon.
Broberon, except he's not a bro at all.
No, he's an awful character.
Did anyone else notice though in the last car park scene, he'd like got his arm slashed open, there was blood everywhere, and then when he goes to see Asuna, he's just got a little bit of a cut on his face. He's alright. Yeah.
All I'm going to say is they had a knife fight. They had a knife fight outside of a hospital at night. I'm pretty sure they have security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were literally right outside the entrance. Where else is security going to be?
Well, none of these hospitals apparently have a staff, so.
I did like at one point.
That as well.
I did like at one point as well when Asuna dropped the admin key card. Yeah. And then Yui was all like, "Oh shit, bro! This is an admin key card. This has the power to do literally anything.
Yeah,
but
man,
you can
that's the Deus Ex Machina key card.
But you can only use it if there's a system console. What's that? A door that we can't open? Hang on, I'll just use this card without a system console.
It's just like, yeah, can you use this card? Okay. It's like, oh, and now suddenly I can open every door ever with the power of my arms.
With the power of Yu-Gi-Oh.
And Kirito can do it too, because he's pushing through the doors with his arms. It's like, how is this allowed?
They just went, right, we've done like 23 episodes.
I think they just got bored.
World building.
What I wanted to see was Kirito to cut one of those freaking tentacle rapists in half.
The slugs.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
That scene
out of
was
nowhere. Like,
that
it's like
scene was
4:30.
stupid as hell.
Yeah, like I'm marathoning this last half, and I'm tired. It's late. There's this fucking tentacle rape scene out of nowhere.
This character.
And, like, look like
thing is, though,
this character they tried to
was like that far away from Log Alpha, and she just couldn't do it. She just couldn't do it.
Just fucking
Like,
press
it-
it. It's one of those things, man. Like,
As the viewers could see shadows looming over her. You could see her hand. You could see shadows in front of her. She's fully aware these things are in the room and that they're behind her. She could have
But
just
she sees
extended
them.
her finger another centimetre, and the entire
She's
second
having
half of the
The,
show.
the worst part is she clocks them really early on, but instead of waiting for them to leave,
yeah,
she
she's
just goes,
like,
"Oh, I'll just go up to the system console in direct line of sight."
No one was the smartest person in this show, were they?
That scene
That's the
annoyed
funniest
me
thing,
though.
is that
'cause
she's able to she's not able to log out, but she's able to move her hand all the way to the other fucking direction and take the card out of the machine.
yeah, that
They,
was an incredible feat.
what was it? They built Asuna up to be this like really strong character, and then they had this this massive dichotomy where they'd build her up to be really strong, and they take that strength away, and then they'd give her a little bit of it back by allowing her to do something awesome, and then
she failed miserably.
and then they just give her this friggin' tentacle rape scene. Which is just, like, let's just take away any kind of like dignity that she had at any point.
She got it so bad in that second half.
She
She got
really
the
did.
tentacle rape scene. She got her face licked by freaking worst character in anything ever, and she freaking had her boobs popped out and everything. It's like, Jesus Christ! It's like, I made
She
you
had-
smell like real life.
She had her
I like
dress
the
ripped
fact-
off like newspaper.
I like the fact that when they Kirito and Asuna hugged straight after, he just started crying and just put his face directly into her chest, but you couldn't really
Yep.
see it.
In actuality, he had a massive grin on the other side of his face. He was like, yeah.
Oh, which scene was it? There's one scene. This is an animation thing. One of the scenes in the first arc where Asuna is asleep on Kirito's chest. She's talking to him. All you can see is like the side of her head, and his arm is kind of covering her mouth. You see the corner of her mouth, and it looks like her mouth goes up to here. There is like a centimetre between her eye and the corner of her mouth, and it's just like, what the hell, is she a shark?
There's one bit.
They need to show that she's talking, but it's all covered up apart from this bit here, and her mouth goes up to there, and it's just like, how is your mouth that big, love?
I'm not usually one for noticing animation errors and stuff like that, but there was one bit in the second half where I can't remember the exact bit, but all I'm going to say is there's a bit where Leafa has a giant hand. Like, literally, her fingers are like 3 times the size they should be. She's like, brrr. It's hilarious. I picked up on it and I was like, I'm going to see that again because you had a big hand. Let's give Leafa a big hand.
Did you like that was good.
The issue with the second half of the series, I think,
There's
is
a lot of issues, I think.
no, I know, but like the big thing that stands out to me is, as far as the storyline is concerned, is that like the story was about Kirito, and it was like, oh, Kirito wants to get Asuna back. That's great and everything, but they put a lot of focus on Sugu, and I feel like that should have been. It almost feels like that should have been the main focus. Like, there was a lot of attention paid to that, but Kirito's still the main character. Because he's protagonist Kirito, and if he's not the protagonist, then well, he's nothing else really. Because what is he?
He's an overpowered bastard who has hacks.
Exactly, that's it. Hacks powers Kirito. Kirito the beater.
He's like, I'm
He
not
is
a beater. I'm
literally
a
a
cheater.
cheater.
You are a
He
cheater.
is literally a cheater.
He just cheats. It's like when he's fighting that salamander guy. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna use this skill that I'm not supposed to have to beat you.
To be fair though, I don't care. That fight was awesome.
That fight was amazing, but wouldn't it have been even better if he tried to dual wield and the game just crashed? Like, he just crashed the server.
Blue screen. The show just blue screen. Next level humour.
Oh, amazing.
Alright. Is there anything else in particular about the story or the characters that anyone else would like to mention? Because we've been going for nearly an hour and a half, so...
I think we've beaten this horse to death now.
Beat her? What?
We've beated this horse to death now. Yeah, so there's not. I'm trying to think now. There isn't really anything else to say. I think we've gone over kind of.
We basically
everything.
haven't gone over general things. We've just gone over everything that's wrong.
Alfheim.
What about you, Bill?
Oh, go on.
What?
Anything else you want to say about this?
No, not really. I liked the game in the second half. Like, that was it. Like, I liked the whole idea that there's other races. I didn't like the execution of it. And as Cam said before, like, it doesn't really feel like a game. I think it would have been better served with that because I liked the environment. Actually, no, fuck that. No, I didn't like the second game. Never mind. The whole idea of a bunch of fairies having to fly to the top of a tree is a fucking stupid game. Never mind. I like the idea of more races, I think.
Yeah.
There's a proper. They have like proper issues with the problem. They introduced the flight mechanic, but it seems like they had a lot of issues with kind of trying to control that. When they do the bit where they have to fight the salamanders on the bridge and they erect that big wall. Oh no, we have to fight these guys now because there's a wall in the way. Completely forgetting that we have wings. And then like
yeah, that's the
and the idea was presented. Oh, maybe they can't fly because they're indoors. And then the next episode they fly in a cave.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are the rules of this game?
There's no reason why they couldn't have flown around that wall. The other thing that's stupid about that scene is they made a big deal about Kirito's illusion power, not giving him any extra power, but it quite clearly did. Even if physically he wasn't any stronger or anything like that, that wasn't an illusion because he was actively using those limbs.
Yeah,
he was transforming himself into a much more convenient battle body.
It was cool though.
That's not an illusion. That's a transformation.
It was cool though. I enjoyed that scene. Cool. I was like, yeah. Eating
that's the thing though. There's a lot of bits in the show where you're like, that's stupid and doesn't make any sense.
But
it's cool, so it's fine.
I think it tries to get away with a lot, but through that excuse. But it's cool.
Sometimes it does succeed.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I forgave that scene because he turned into a big monster, and I was like, that's awesome because he's a big monster. And then the whole dual wielding thing, I was like, it's cheating. And it shouldn't have but it's cool.
I thought every time Kirito went ham with two swords, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So it was like against like the bit where he almost dies against that one where the Liberation Army people go in there or whatever they're called from the Town of Beginnings go in there and they get walloped and he needs to go there and save them and he's just like it's time to dual wield. For some reason I was hiding it and he's just like I can't nuts.
They explain that though because I thought the same thing when it was going up to that scene I was like why the hell isn't he using the Dark Repulsor? He got this sword made for him. Why isn't he using it? And then they explain afterwards that he is the only person again Gary Stu syndrome. He's the only person in the entire game that can dual wield. And he was like, yeah, if people knew I could dual wield, they'd just kill me because jealous fucks.
What was it that Heathcliff's unique skill actually let him do?
It just made him super pro.
It was just because it
was something along the lines of
skill that lets him use a big shield.
It was something along the lines of he can use a sword. He can use a sword and a shield, both at 100% capacity. So if any other character uses a sword and a shield, they kind of lose the aptitude because they've got to use both at the same time. Whereas he could use a sword as if he was using a one-handed sword, and he could use his shield as if he was only using a shield one-handed. That's how I got it. So basically, he's really good at fighting people.
The fight with Kirito and him was amazing. This is really cool.
I love that bit with the first fight though, when he did his when he moved his shield in the way at time, and he has that little cheeky smile of fuck you.
That's the fight that was good. The fight that they have at the end isn't that great, to be honest. It kind of ends too quickly, and it's Asuna jumps in the way, and it's and Kirito didn't even get all his health back.
Yeah.
He had next to no health when he started that fight, and I was like, at least freaking make yourselves both at full health before you do the fight.
Do an honourable duel or something at least. Yeah. So my final thought on that is, oh no, go on. I'll do that in my roundup actually.
Yeah, we're doing. Is there anything aside from the plot and the characters that we need to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about how it looked and how, at times, when they wanted it to, it looked awesome. I like the attention to detail that they did on all the kind of the parts of the show, the parts of the world rather, and the in-game stuff. As you were saying, when he hits a wall, and when they got cut and stuff, and it looked like they were in a game and got cut. Yeah. How they had this kind of digital-looking blood, all the UI stuff. It looked really nice and it looked digital, but it kind of worked in there. There were obviously some really, really sketchy in between shots. There was some strange animation here and there, but I mean, it's A1 Pictures. They're not like a tier 1 studio. They're good, and they had a lot of budget for this, but there are times when it wasn't great, and there was a bit of really, really iffy CGI. Like the poo dragon looked horrible. The skeleton monster looked a bit crap. Other than that, I think all the other bosses looked really cool. They were animated really well, and all the fight scenes were animated really well, and that's where they needed the animation to go. So I think
that
it
was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, I really liked the character designs as a whole. No, certain characters in Alfheim looked really good. Like Leafa, I really liked Leafa's character design. But yeah, like Kirito, I liked his initial design. I'm not sure on Kirito's initial design, because he still looked like a child. He looked like his clothes were too big for him the entire show. Well, yeah, I suppose. I didn't like. I liked that design more than his Alfheim design.
Oh yeah, his Alfheim design was messy as hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but they're like, in fact, I was going to say Klein, but no, all of Furin Kazan looked amazing. Yeah. Because they were just samurai blokes. It was pro.
Cool.
And then like Heathcliff looked awesome. Because he kind of had this grandiose appearance. Look at me with my big red armor.
Yeah, honestly, I think all of the Knights of the Blood Oath, their uniform and general aesthetic was really cool.
That's why I kind of liked when Kirito had to join them. And he had that
and he had got that white and red coat.
When he put that coat on, I was like, oh god, this is even worse than it was before.
Again, because it was too big for him.
I liked
how... It's not how you can have clothes in-game that don't fit you.
But there was that one guy who looked like he was sort of wearing a nappy because of like how the trousers were styled. It was really weird.
There was...
Did he look like SH Figure Arts Tsunashi Takuto?
Maybe a little bit.
Nappy.
Nappy Takuto,
the one thing that kind of bugged me a little bit, and I'm not sure, maybe it's the way the game is, but like, Kirito used that same sword for like 80 levels. Like... I think it's gotta suck, like, by a certain point. Unless you fortify it, or like, like it's now it's Kirito's sword plus 8 or something. I don't know, but like,
maybe he upgraded
that sword in the first room or something, didn't he?
No, he got the
black cloak.
He got the jacket. Yeah,
he got the beta cloak, and he was like, "I'm a fucking beta, mate." No, he didn't get the elucidator until about halfway into the first arc, but he still had it for a very long time.
I just realised something actually. Can you imagine? What would have happened to the entire show if instead of like a black badass cloak in that final boss, it was a clown costume? And it's just like, I'm a clown. I was in the
and
bed
then
as he was because I'm a clown.
As he was walking out the room, his shoes squeaked.
Well, no, he had those little rollerblade shoes with the little wheels.
What friggin' Heelys?
Yeah,
Kirito beat the boss.
Well.
He beat the boss and acquired Heelys. I did like though. It's a shame that Kirito was the only character that they really did this to, apart from like Klein. But the difference with Klein was he had one design at the start and then one design later on. Whereas with Kirito, for the first half of the first like part of it, his like outfit did change a lot over the period of time. Like he got new bits and stuff. And that was cool. I liked that.
It makes sense. Like, because honestly, obviously, the comparison to that is that Asuna's always wearing the same outfit, and that's because she's in the guild. Yeah. And Kirito is a loner, so he's just kind of putting on whatever the new stuff is any given time. But also, he was him and Asuna never wore armor. It's like, don't you wear armor in MMOs, or is it like, is that really
Alan,
good cloth?
They're obviously light armor characters.
Maybe you need a skill.
Because they need the speed. They can't wear heavy armor because it's going to weigh him down.
It's probably a skill as well that you need to level up.
Yeah, so he should be able to be
OP.
heavy and beefy.
He should be wearing armor realistically because he's supposed to be like using a slower weapon, but Asuna's not.
He's Kirito P.
And Asuna is not meant to be wearing armor because that would cover up too much skin.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense though because she is using a rapier, which is a faster weapon, and heavy armor is just going to slow her down. That's why she doesn't use a shield. She says that, so...
Yeah.
She is to Flash. Alright. I can get behind that then. I'll retract my criticism.
Your MMO
but I'm
criticism.
just thinking of it in Skyrim logic, because since I play a thief character and I'm a faster with the one-handed stuff and I wear light armor...
Until, if you just like stick with heavy armor, until you get that trait that means that heavy armor weighs nothing and doesn't make any noise. That's what I did.
Dude, that's...
Yeah,
no,
if you level
the reason the reason that I didn't do that is because I was wearing my Nightingale armor all the time because it's cool as fuck.
Yeah, but you just get Daedric armor and then you run around stabbing people up with that and making no noise.
It's not as cool as my Nightingale armor, so suck it.
I got the Nightingale armor as well, so I was a thief too. I crouched behind someone for 4 hours to get my skill up. Anyway, that's not Sword Art Online. I wish it was. I'd play. If Sword Art Online was a real MMO, would you play it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if I was,
if it wasn't going to kill me,
I would play any kind of virtual reality MMO.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say yes, but I don't play MMOs, so no.
Oh man, I think I would kill I would kill myself by accident if there was an actual virtual reality MMO because I wouldn't stop playing.
Yeah.
Like I would die
myself.
Yeah.
I can imagine if there was a real one, it would have this thing where it's like, we are going to automatically log you out in 10 minutes.
They would have to mandate something like that, yeah.
Because otherwise people would just stay in there. Because if it could never feasibly exist anyway. Because it would never be able to be made.
Alan, you need to shut up. You're ruining my dreams.
I think they're getting pretty close to it. To be fair,
the thing is, it's a difference between kind of Oculus Rift style thing and you are physically unconscious and your consciousness is somewhere else, because that is dangerous. That could give you brain damage, as it does in this. It just wouldn't be able to be put into retail.
You know what? I don't think I'd care at that point, because I'd be like, I live in a world with fairies.
I think the closest thing they could have to it is kind of the way that .hack portrays it, in that you have the VR headset, which is essentially the Oculus Rift, but you also have a controller in your hand. That's kind of how they portrayed it. But there was a thing, this is in a Nintendo official magazine from 10 years ago, so I don't know where the technology is, but they made a vest that you could put on, and if you got hit in a certain place, it would essentially give you a light electric shock where that thing was. Yeah. So you would feel the sensation of getting hit. So it would give you.
I'm kind of surprised that the freaking Nerve gear was actually able to be put into retail production anyway, seeing as any kind of product like that going out would have stupid amounts of tests put through it. And if that thing has the ability to kill you, it's got microwaves in it. They would not let you put something that has microwaves in it on your head.
Just put it on there.
It's
people are
especially
freaking sketchy enough about
the
phones.
Yeah. It's especially amazing that the second version of it got approved after the incidents of Sword Art Online. New piece of hardware,
I like how they said. I like how they go after the events of Alfheim Online. Virtual reality MMOs started to go downhill. It's why didn't that happen after Sword Art?
Yeah, what the fuck? Well, then it boomed back up again with the World Seed, and they made all their which I don't think we mentioned that everybody's just making their own fucking games now, Little Big Planet.
Which basically means that everyone's just getting everything for free.
Essentially, so there is no game
Kirito, a really advanced Gary's mod. Anyway, back onto the thing. Any other things to say about design and animation?
I love the idea that the World Seed just proper kills all the game market ever, and all the things that they sell are these Nerve gears, and that's all they can do.
Yeah. The game market is dead because people keep making online games.
It's if I got into modding Skyrim, and having modded Skyrim and playing that, I would never buy another game ever again.
You need to get yourself an Oculus Rift, bro.
No, I don't.
Well, that is until Utapri got translated.
Yeah, that's true.
Play that on the Oculus Rift. Be amazing.
Oh gosh. I don't think there's anything else I personally want to mention about it.
No.
Okay, audio then. How banging was Yuki Kaja in this thing?
I don't even want to talk about audio. I really don't.
All I'm gonna say is fantasy is and fantasy style stuff is her bag.
Yeah,
and it just proves it more in this situation.
Yeah, the only thing I can say critiquing on the score is that lots of songs were overused to fuck 'em back.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, I guess. There were some songs that got used a lot, the vocal chorusy thing that's all over the place that Giguk made the joke with in his video. That song, and then the other song that I really liked is the song that I only heard it once, which was during the fight between Leafa and Kirito towards the end, with this kind of just like this weird kind of echoing, rolling drums rhythmically, and that song was amazing.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's very few things that really stood out to me, but I just thought as a whole, the soundtrack was brilliant. Because I mean, Yuki Kajira is kind of, she's always on the ball. Sometimes her stuff sounds the same. Like you can listen to some of her scores from other things, and they have very, very, very similar vibes to the stuff from this. But yeah, it was really good. Can't say anything bad against it.
I don't even remember any of it. Really don't.
Do you really not?
I don't at all.
She was too immersed in the world.
Too
Sword Art
immersed.
Online.
To be fair, I was playing Minecraft at the same time as I was watching this. So.
God, Abby, you want giving it your full attention. Like everything you've said up until this point in this episode of OKKO Anime Club.
I don't care because I watched this thing when it was airing, and that was enough for me.
Yeah,
I was just pissed off that like the OVA film thing is a big recap. I could have just watched that instead of rewatching the entire series. I didn't know that existed.
You would have got 10 minutes of new animation out of that.
Yeah, and then I would have gotten everything else, and it's just like, oh.
I like how we've kind of we've ragged on the second half for ages, but I take it we're all going to watch the second season.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's got guns in it.
Yeah.
I've already started watching it actually. So
Yeah,
I didn't know that Kirito was going to be in this season. For some reason, I thought like looking at the pictures, like it was like a whole bunch of different people. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Kirito has a female avatar. So
Kiri boobs.
It's not supposedly it's not a female avatar. It's just a male avatar that looks like a girl. I thought he did have a female avatar.
It's a thing where John explained it to me earlier. It's like his avatar is male, but he has this like item thing that means he looks female to everyone else.
Right.
What's the fucking point?
Just make him a female. Like,
I know, yeah.
He's a detective in the second season apparently. So he's got to be undercover.
Oh, me.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to spoil season 2 for anyone, but I will say that I am so fucking unimpressed with it so far. It was an episode with just nothing happening whatsoever.
A detective MMO sounds amazing. Just so
Cluedo Online.
Hold on. What are you saying?
I read the synopsis, and it just sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's an investigation going on about a death gun. And then some guy in a suit apparently comes up to Kirito and is like, yo, I want you to investigate the death gun, and he plays a game to do it. This just sounds so stupid.
Can I just say, when that guy says, oh, I was in this place at this time, you're like, bollocks, were you? No, you weren't. We were no, you weren't. It was so stupid.
This is when Fraps like comes into a whole new world. Everyone uses Fraps to record their footage so they can prove their innocence. I wasn't here because I've got video evidence. I used Fraps.
Just like, anyway.
You know, right. I was streaming the game to 500 people. You can ask them. I want their mate.
I want their mate.
Mate. In before we come back to do season 2, and we're all like, "Oh my god, it was amazing."
Yeah.
Everybody has said that GGO is really, really good and like the best half, like the best part of it. So if it fucks up now, I'm not gonna watch any more of it.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, well, you tried.
We'll just have to wait and see.
But
I just want there to be one called Punch Out Online, so it can be called POO.
Amazing.
Let's talk final thoughts then. So let's start with Cam.
I think that Sword Art Online would have been amazing, and could have, like, even more amazing. Like the first half would have been amazing, and even more amazing, and would have worked on a story like sense if they'd just taken out Alfheim. You could literally cut out episodes 15 to 24, and then just push episode 25 to the end, and it would work. So basically, Kirito beats Heathcliff, and then the scientist goes, "Wicked, you beat Sword Art Online. Here's the World Seed. Do what you want with that. Bye." And then that's it. That's all it needed. And then
we could have had a credit sequence of someone walking down a hospital hallway.
Yeah, and then that could have been the end.
It wouldn't have been the end though, because it was insanely popular.
But yeah, they could. I feel like it would have been much more powerful as a piece of work, if that was the way that it happened. But it just felt like the addition of Alfheim was crowbarred in to give some exposition to a character that hadn't even been introduced yet. I mean, like, Sugu, like, I liked Sugu. She was a good character, and like, apart from the whole incest thing, you know, that was still an interesting story, and I felt sorry for her, which means she was a good character because I felt something for her. But surely that could have just been written into Sword Art. Why did Alfheim need to exist at this point?
Because they needed to have Asuna in a cage.
Oh well, yeah, exactly.
Because the level 1 with character.
They needed to have that. They needed to have the tentacle.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like the entirety of Alfheim is just full of these scenes that pretty much just devalue everything that the rest of the show built up. Much. And that's my overall issue with the show. Are we giving ratings now with our final thoughts?
Yep.
If Alfheim didn't exist, it would have been an 8, which is very good for me.
Really?
Yeah. Because Alfheim exists, it gets a 6.
Okay, that's fair score.
Yeah.
Should we go for... Who wants to go next? Bill, do you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess we'll go. That's not really like reluctant.
I suppose.
I don't want to be here anymore.
No, yeah, I think if you tighten up the first arc a little bit, you know, some elbow grease, fucking get rid of all the incest stuff. That bugged me the most. I think it was just a lot of farting around the incest stuff that I just didn't care for. It was just fucking stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the first arc. That's best I can say. I mean, I didn't think the second arc was going to be as bad as everyone said on the internet because of the whole Death Note thing, but it sucked something ass. And score-wise, I give it about a 6 as well.
Okay.
I got this mediocrely average score overall. Yeah. Fuck that second arc. That's about the only thing I can really say at this point. After just watching it nonstop for like 7 hours last night, that's about the most I can come up with.
I mean, it's difficult. Like for me personally, I didn't watch it when it aired, so I've pretty much gone into this with everyone that I know and anyone whose opinions I respect going, yeah, Sword Art's alright until the second arc. So, like, I've gone into it with this mindset, and unfortunately, that kind of ruined the first half for me in a sense. I still enjoyed it, but I had this looming thing over my head of, when is this going to get bad? I know it's going to get bad, so when is it going to get bad?
Yeah, because I'm sure you were expecting Sword Art to end prematurely. And then move on to something else. Because, I mean, that's a big deal. It's like when I was first watching it and when Sword Art ended, it was like, alright. It was just like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. You weren't expecting the conclusion to happen that quickly.
It's like, oh, now what?
Exactly.
So, Alan.
Okay. I'm not going to say that the second half needs to be removed. The second half could have been good if the villain wasn't shit, if the incest stuff wasn't there, like if Sugu in general wasn't there. But I mean, I kind of think the whole he needs to rescue Asuna as an afterthought to the ending, like the epilogue to Sword Art is that he needs to clear everything up, clear up the mess, rescue Asuna, and then things are fine. I appreciate that as a storyline, and I appreciate that the second arc was in the space of a week and wasn't jumbled. So the second arc could have been decent. It just wasn't. Yeah. But in the first arc, again, I honestly don't rate it that much higher than the second arc just because of how big of a clusterfuck it is. The stuff in the forest with Pocket Lolly was awful. Like, the freaking... Just all the episodic stuff, the jumping massively between times, it just didn't work. Like, the first arc needed to be longer. The first arc needed to have a better ending. Like, it needed to have more impact at the ending.
I feel like the episodic stuff would have been okay if that was like the formula. Like, if it was if there was a lot more episodic stuff where you had this is Kirito's adventure today, and then the next episode a bit more time moves on. This is Kirito's adventure today. He meets this person and does this thing, and you know, gets someone else to fall in love with him,
like
and then you move on. But it was just kind of
the feeling of the first arc. It should have been so good. Like, the first 2 episodes were brilliant. the general tone and where it was going, it really felt like it was going somewhere. There were points where it was genuinely enjoyable and really good, but it was just a fucking mess. It was just a tragic mess how it was all pieced together. Overall, it gets a strong 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the action scenes were brilliant, like where they were there, and the soundtrack was pretty good.
When it was
Stuff
good,
like
it was
that.
good.
When it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was awful. Off you go, Abby.
Okay, this show was super good at first, and I was really excited about it, really hyped about it. And it quickly lost its consistency, I suppose, because it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know whether it wanted to be a romance or an action series or I don't know. Just it tried everything and it didn't really work. And I'm gonna give season 2 a chance. But I'm not expecting all that much from it, I don't think.
It's probably a better mindset to go into.
Yeah, I don't really have that much to say about it that's not already been said, so I'd give it a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5? 5 out of 10.
Oh!
5 out of 5.
Boom!
10 out of 10. Same rating as 3.
Wow.
That's the point. I didn't have enough pretty boys that were taking their
Hey
clothes
man,
off and swimming.
hey man,
So
Klein.
was beautiful.
No man, Klein was a rugged, awesome man.
No Harry, though.
What I was gonna say is, I'm kind of looking forward to watching season 2, because I went into season 1 expecting to be disappointed, and I think that did put a dampener on the whole experience for me. And I'm going into this with lower expectations, but with people saying it gets better.
Yeah.
So now instead of going, when is this going to get shit?
Yeah,
I'm going into this going,
when
is this going to get good?
Out of 40, we gave the show a 22 out of 40, so that is not a very good score.
Ooh.
So,
Sorry, Sword Art. I wanted to like you.
It's alright. I still think everyone needs to watch it, but as long as you don't expect too much. Because when I watched it the second time, I really enjoyed it.
Mm.
It was
could
because
we wrap this up though? Because we've been going for nearly 2 hours, and I really need the bathroom. So.
It's a good nod to MMOs.
Yeah.
Like if you're a fan of MMOs, very similar to like .hack, you should watch it because it is a nice little nod, and things will happen. You'll be like, yeah, I know that because
the reason it is so popular is because it is so accessible.
Mm.
Like I have so many problems with this show, but I look at it and go, yeah, if I was like 16, if I was a young guy, if I was who I was when I first started watching anime, I would eat this up.
If you were a level 58 paladin and the leader of a guild, you slayed dragons before Mum finishes breakfast.
Oh, that was another problem I had with it. Where the fuck were the archers?
No. It's because Sword Art Online was about swords.
I don't care. Where were the fucking
the archers were in the freaking tree thing.
They were in Alfheim.
They weren't even characters though. They were enemies.
But yeah, they kind of made a point in at least Sword Art in saying that everything was like a close combat thing, and the combat elements were based on your skills and stuff. Because there was no, that's one thing I did like about Sword Art from the start was, and they went, yeah, there's no magic in this game, and I was like, ooh, bold move.
Yeah.
Can we please end this?
No.
No,
you can feel like how all those players felt when the nerve gear makes them think they don't need the loo.
Please, I'm not joking.
Okay. Let's wrap it up.
Wrap this up. I have been with you today. We have been talking about Sword Art Online. We have given you our verdicts. We have hoped you have enjoyed what we have been saying. I have been back a shift. Joining me as always are my two wonderful co-hosts, Bizarre Jelly 5, who needs a wee, and Tensei Twister.
Sword Art Online is decidedly average, but you should watch it anyway.
Yep.
That's my verdict.
And joining us today as our second guest, and the specialist guest, who has ever graced any guest slot for anything ever because Bill is wonderful, Mr. Bill Conway.
You just ruined the morale of every future guest you guys are ever gonna have.
No, we're gonna say that about every guest. We'll say that about Yokorama.
Poor Ken.
Yeah, but then Ken will come back on, and it'll become a paradox.
Exactly.
End it.
Anyway, yes. Thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you very much for
As
joining
always.
us. We look forward to seeing you on July 12th to discuss No Game, No Life. We may or may not be joined by Yokorama. We hope we will, but we might not.
Yes,
Until then,
probably.
yeah. So long.
Bye.